thanks for your patience earlier while we had to suspend briefly for a vote. And Mr. Friedman, I've watched you on TV a little bit lately, I think, and occasionally you're even talking about the Senate in a certain way. So I was happy to see your opening statement where you say right in here, the Senate of Canada is the home of sober second thought, not irresponsible fear-mongering, and I was very glad to see that. And is this your first time before a Senate committee?
No, it's not. I've had the pleasure of appearing before, and I have the greatest of respect for the work that's done in this committee and the other Senate committees as well.
That's great. Thank you very much for saying that. Now, we've heard some discussion about comments regarding this legislation from Liberal leader Justin Trudeau, and he claimed that this bill will allow for restricted firearms to be transported to the grocery store. You said in November 2014, quote, "I would advise a client that the kind of conduct Trudeau is describing would not be lawful and will continue to be unlawful," quote. So I'm wondering if you stand by those comments and if you could perhaps elaborate further on the safe transport requirements.
Sure. In terms of transporting restricted firearms, the regulations for so doing are set out in regulations to the Firearms Act. There's a standalone set of regulations that govern both the method of transportation and where these firearms can be transported. Included in those regulations is a requirement that the route taken by the firearms owner, in other words, from home to range and back, or from home to gunsmith and back, or from home to border crossing and back, be reasonably direct in the circumstances. So this is not an area of law that has yet to be litigated, so there's no jurisprudence on it. So all we have is that requirement on its face. And I would advise, if Mr. Trudeau is asking me for legal advice, I would tell him that going to the grocery store with your pistol in your trunk is not reasonably direct in the circumstance. That requirement is in no way affected by Bill C-42.
Great, thank you. And further, in the past, Mr. Friedman, I understand that you've acted as counsel for the National Firearms Association. I'm wondering, can you just clarify for us, are you here today on their behalf, and have you had any communication with them about your testimony?
That's a great question. Today I'm appearing as an individual in my capacity as a lawyer. As lawyers, we swear an oath to refuse no cause of action reasonably founded.
Yes.
And that's something that's very important to me in the tradition of the English barrister. And I was proud to represent the NFA as an intervener before the Supreme Court of Canada. I'm open to input from anyone who wishes to share ideas about firearms legislation. I've spoken at National Firearms Association conferences. I would be happy to speak at the Coalition for Gun Control's annual convention if I were so invited. As long as I could share my ideas and thoughts about firearms law and policy, I'm always happy to do so.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Senator Jeffer.